What's up, guys? So today we've got the Rockwell Blade Runner X2. It's a real unique kind of homeowner's DIY type tool. It's a combination of multiple tools. So essentially you're getting a jigsaw, a bandsaw, a table saw, and a miter saw all mixed together. It's essentially the base of a table saw, but with the jigsaw underneath it, and then with the blade firing up and down from the bottom. If you look here on the side, it actually shows you what it can do. It can do regular rip cutting, cross cutting. That's where the miter saw comes in. This would be the table saw. And then it could do curve cutting. Now, with something like this, you would normally need a jigsaw and a really steady platform, or the bandsaw, which you could get the most accurate cross or curved cuts and all your little detailed, kind of for your little arts and crafts type thing. And then here it can also do miter saw cuts, just like a miter saw. So it is definitely a unique little tool, kind of like a do-it-yourselfer's all-in-one machine. Mostly geared towards like arts and craft type woodworking, but it's unique the same. So let's open it up and see what's inside. All right. These things are freaking awesome. You don't always need them, but it's fun to saw things open. So really not much going on in here, it looks like. This is the tool, obviously, and it's really packed. You can actually see the outside of it from the box. Oh, it's nice. Let's see what's all in here. Let's get this out of the way for now. So in here we got, looks like part of the dust collection, the rip guide, pretty sturdy. This looks like it's going to be the rip fence, and then the miter gauge. Instructions, but who looks at those? Here is the actual saw. It's a compact little unit. I'd say it's about 14 by 14, somewhere around there. This is where the blade goes in. Looks like it has a holder down here for some extra blades. Nice little safety switch. This looks like one of those ones, it is, where you could actually take this out and technically leave it plugged in and not have to worry about kids coming and turning it on by accident, because this is essentially like the power key. And you put it back in and it will power. This here, this little red button here, looks like it's the release for the blade that would go in right here. All in all, it's a sturdy little thing. It doesn't weigh very much. Let's look at the bottom. So this is where it's interesting. If you look down here, it looks like, let me get in frame. It looks like more or less just in here is, almost just looks like a handheld jigsaw actually. If you could picture it, like here's the motor and here's where you grab onto it. Really pretty simple, everything considered. Not much going on at all, but hey, it gets the job done. It's one of those smart designs that's made them quite a bit of money. You got nice rubber feet here so it doesn't slip and slide on your work surface, which is good for something like this, so you want to get detailed work out of. Doesn't look like it's going to be obviously for super precision woodworking, but you know, just kind of Etsy crafts type thing. You want to carve a few letters out and I don't know, give them as gifts and whatnot. definitely would work for that. All right, let's get it put together and see what it can do. All right, guys. So as you can see, we've got it all assembled now. It's a neat looking little unit. It actually came with a few different jigsaw bits. So first we got the wood cutting smooth cut bit. This is the metal cutting bit. And then we got the just general wood cutting, like fast cuts. And over here we got a metal cutting bit, ceramic coated. Then last but not least, we have an aluminum cutting bit. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and put a blade on, and to do that, we're just going to use the standard smooth wood cutting bit. First, obviously you want to take it out of its package. Be careful with that. And then in order to put on or remove a blade on here, you're going to first have to remove this miter gauge, tilt this guy back. Then if you look in here, there's this little cover. You don't need to take this off, but I'm going to do it for the purpose of this video. So take that off. And then if you look right over here, there's this little red button. Basically what you're going to do is press that in and pull it towards you, or to the left of the machine. There's a little arrow right here that shows you where. I was a little confused by that at first, but I figured it out. So press it in and pull it. And then when you do that, if you look closely, there's a little thing in there that rotates the blade and locks it in place. Press it in, pull it. Press it in, pull it. So when you go ahead and do that correctly, press this in, pull it, put the blade down in place, and then release it. So now the blade's in there good. And to eject the blade, especially, this is going to come in handy when it's hot. You press it in, pull it, shoots right out. Now, we're going to get into what exactly this tool is good for. As you can see, I've got my Ryobi 3-gallon wet dry vac, 18-volt cordless, of course, hooked up to the Rockwell. They make a cool looking combo. They match the color coding and everything. Looks like they're supposed to be paired together, but that was just a lucky coincidence. So, as you may or may not know, the wife and I own an RV that we love. There's little projects that I've been doing on it here and there. One of them has been the flooring. While doing the flooring, I couldn't get a professional to do it to save my life, so I decided to do it myself. No one was willing to do it, basically, because they said RVs were too much hassle. I soon found out why. Had to make several cuts like this, these crazy curves, and again, these are just scrap pieces, so they didn't make the cut. They were just basically for trash. Like these crazy curves like this little guy here, curve cut as well. This is just one of a million different oddball cuts I had to make. Look at this one. It's got a curve over here, then I had to notch it here, and then back here again. And then these all have to line into these little grooves, and then another angle here. Not to mention this giant one here. So obviously it was a lot of work, and I understood why no one wanted to do an RV's floor. Here's where something like this would come in handy. You've got this big base. Oh, by the way, I just did everything on essentially a little handsaw and a razor blade knife. It can be done. They didn't have all these tools at the time. It can be done, obviously, but man, it took forever. This is where this would come in handy. I wish I had it at the time. I could have easily sat this on here, take this out, did my little cuts. Bam, good, done. that could have easily saved me probably a day's, if not more's, work time. So let's fire it up and do nothing this crazy, but just, I got a couple scrap pieces here of this same flooring and some wood just to see how it cuts. Now, to do some sample cuts, we're gonna go ahead and take our piece of laminate, vinyl laminate flooring. You can see it's got the little rubber undercoating right here, and I believe it's about 8 millimeters thick. It's from Costco, so it's fairly decent quality. Not commercial grade, but definitely gets the job done. Waterproof and all that. So on this Rockwell, you've got two adjustments. The one here with the lock nut, and then there's one back here that swivels this whole arm up and down. Once you got this one locked down, you take your workpiece, set it right here, and this you have to adjust for the height. This is what really makes it look like a jigsaw if you look at it up close. So you get your workpiece, set it on the height, and then lock it down so it's not bouncing around all over the place. Turning it the wrong way, like usual. Alright, there we go. Now it's locked down pretty good. That should do it. And then I just got my fence set to, let's bring it in a little bit so I don't waste as much. Just to about right there. Should be about a 2-inch cut. Just kind of eyeballing it for level. So let's lock these down. And let's lock this down. Then I've got my miter gauge set to 0 degrees, sorry, right here. And again, my Ryobi wet dry vac is acting as my little dust collector. So let's go ahead and fire that up. You can see they're a noisy little pair, but man, almost no mess. That's pretty good. It's actually the first time I ever made a cut on this, and a really quality cut it did make, if you can tell. Super straight, super clean. It's impressive. You look at the other side that I cut with just the razor blade and that handsaw, it's all jagged and torn up, so really wish I had these better tools when I did that job, but hey, you live and learn, right? Here's the other side. Now let's try to do something a little different, maybe 45 degree. See what that's like. Lock this down, put it here. All right, should be good to go. Fire this up. Again, super clean, precise cut, a little bit of shavings left over, and that's just with the jigsaw blade. It's pretty impressive for what it is, little guy. Nice. It wasn't, a complete power hog. I didn't say it struggled, but it's kind of one of those things you got to take it slow. It's nice. Now let's see what it can do with this little bit of pine board I have. It's just 1x4 real light. Let's just get a sense of the power with that. And then again, you're gonna have to change these settings. Lock it down right here. Now I've only got a little bit of this, so I'm gonna bring the fence in even closer, just so it can do multiple cuts if necessary. Right about there is good. Lock that guy down. Zero this out. 0 degrees. And let's give it a shot. Forgot to set the height on this. You gotta remember to do that. Kind of a unusual step to have to take, but you gotta do it. Alright, so there's where it kind of started to show its limitations a little. You can see that the it is again just a jigsaw blade, but this is the one that was labeled as a smooth cut. It's not the smoothest cut. It left a lot of frayed edges and everything. But all in all, it didn't really struggle too much. It definitely worked harder than it did with the laminate flooring, but this is much thicker material. With the 2x4 or anything closer to that, I'm sure it would have a little bit of a struggle. Matter of fact, let's find out what it does with the 2x4. Alright, I got something even better. It's basically a 2x6, I believe. It's a scrap piece of wood I had. It's redwood, so it's light, but it's got a little bit of density to it. Let's see what this guy can do. I've already set up the height on this, on the back part, so let's wrench it down over here. Okay, it should be good. And let's see what it can do. Alright, as you can see, it definitely had a little bit of struggle with that, but it got through it just fine. Again, not the smoothest cut. If you look at this side of the cut, this is actually a cut I made on my rigid table saw. Nice and smooth. I did a double pass where I only had the blade up half the depth and then flipped it around just to see what that was like. So that's why it looks the way it does. But then you look at this Blade Runner side of the cut. There you go. Pretty rough. It did cut it. It didn't really struggle all that bad, but not the highest quality cut, as you can see. Same with this. But all in all, for what it is, the size and everything, it definitely gets the job done in a pinch for sure. Let's go ahead and try a little bit of a scroll cut on these tiles, because that is basically what it's made for. Let's give that a shot. Alright, as you can see, I went ahead and removed the rip guide and the miter guide, and just went ahead and scribbled some random design on this old piece of scrap laminate flooring, just to kind of see how easily I could have cut some crazy design out with this versus how I did it before. Alright, let's adjust the height on this. lower that down all the way. Very important with this step. Okay. That's not very good. Slam this guy down. That's actually the negative of this. You got to basically do this every time you change, you know, the depth of whatever you're working on. But hey, it is what it is. Let's do that. Let's turn on the shop vac. Now I went ahead and turned it off because we hit a bit of a limitation, something I didn't think about. This guard here, as you can see, physically hit this workpiece. So you are actually limited by the size of what you can work with this guard is on. You can take it off, but that's just something to consider. Let's go ahead and just cut straight through and we can see what we already did. So, as you can see, I was making progress getting this cut here, and then I was working on it here, and that's when we hit this back guard. But just considering what I did, as you can see, it wasn't that hard. This is my first time ever trying something like this on it, and it came out pretty good. So this is definitely something with practice you'd get better on, obviously, but this machine, the Rockwell Blade Runner X2, is definitely capable of it if you're trying to do some of these intricate, you know, arts and crafts style cuts or weird flooring cuts, whatever you're trying to get accomplished. Alright, so now it's time for my thoughts on this little guy. And would I recommend it? The answer is yes and no. It really depends what you're looking for. If you are an arts and crafts type of DIYer, wanting to make little projects that you could sell on Etsy or give out as gifts, things like that, I would recommend it. If you are just a straight woodworker that wants to make rip cuts, miter cuts, stuff like that, not so much. It is capable of doing those things because it has a rip fence, it's got this miter gauge and everything, but reality is it's not the best at it. It is small and portable, yeah, but so are a lot of other tools. If you wanted to replace a table saw, technically it could, but for really, really rough cuts and slow cuts, that was actually my original purpose of getting this. I didn't really want to get a table saw just for fear of cutting a finger off or this or that. But then I got it, and it's just kind of, I don't think it could replace one, in honesty. It can do similar things, but they're just totally different machines. This does excel at the little intricate cuts like I showed you earlier. So for that, definitely would recommend it. But for straight woodworking, you could get it, but there's better stuff out there. And just practice common sense and safety precautions. You should be all right, hopefully. Keep all these fingers. All right. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tune in next time. Don't forget to hit that bell. Tune in next time for more content like this and just everyday life stuff that I'm doing here. Thanks.